I told you we'll be doing the newspapers next, and Mama V is here, full of newly acquired knowledge over the last 24 hours.
Welcome to the month of September.
Yeah, it's a great month. Yeah.
Yes, the 9th month, the month of birth. So if you've been hoarding a lot of things inside, if you've been having a lot of expectations, if you've been dreaming, and you believe indeed that this is the 9th month of birth, then something good is going to come out of this month. Just say amen to that. Amen. Believe and have faith.
Fantastic. That's a very progressive thought.
Well, we have no choice, do we?
Yeah.
But we've come very far. It's the September, October, November, December, and
do I have to say that this year has
ending
run
this year,
so
2020.
fast?
We wanted to run really fast. I mean, who thought that we will be welcomed sometime in the course of the year, very early on, with COVID-19, and we can't wait for it to simply go away. Some of us are hoping that 2020 will go away with COVID-19. So just as it came, we want it to also go away. Thank you for joining us. If you missed the AM News, we're going to be doing the review. We've got a guest joining us, the Executive Director of Amnesty International, the local chapter, Robert Samanfo, will be joining us for the review. Oh, there you are. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mama V.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so we're just going to run through. Let's check out what's making headlines, and then after that, we will all make our picks, and then we'll also do myjoyonline.com. So why don't I just start with the Daily Graphic newspaper, guys? Front page of the Graphic. Reopening schedule of pre-tertiary institutions, private schools disappointed. It comes with a picture of the education minister, but he is not saying he's disappointed. It's just the private schools who are disappointed. Their issue is not necessarily the same as the public schools. Roland was saying when he opened the show, they don't have issues with spacing. And so they didn't understand why the decision was made to completely, I guess, and then, push reopening to January 2021. But if you read the story, the explanation from the Ghana Education Service, we'll get a lot more of it later this morning, is that the president was putting the emphasis on lives and not livelihoods. So more of this in the paper. Government injects 800 million Ghana cedis into NIB operations. Coalition calls for inclusion of Black Shield capital in bailout. 10 million Ghana cedis earmarked for businesses in Zongo communities in 5 northern regions. If you check the center spread out, and that's where I'm going next, in the center spread of the paper, President lays foundation for metal casting factory. Passengers to pay 865 Ghana cedis for COVID-19 tests. National Children's Day commemorated. Well, this story about the COVID tests with the passengers is because today is the first. Remember, the president indicated that the airport will be open for international travel today. So starting today, the airport will begin to get busy. We'll see. But what people have been talking about is that $150 COVID tests. On the back page, survey on malaria prevalence in children begins tomorrow. 2 persons shot dead at Abosokai Homowo celebration. It says the Kaneshie police are attempting to unravel the circumstances that led to the shooting of 3 men at Abosokai during the celebration of the Homowo festival in the area last Saturday. Okay, should I let you guys, maybe Robert, you can come through with the papers that you have.
Okay, good morning. I have the Finder, and prominent on the page is NSS Post 86,000.
Robert, you can go ahead.
Okay, sure. 86,478 service personnel, which is an interesting thing because immediately this time starts, all sorts of interesting people get to know where they want to do their national service, and they start asking for reposting and all. Let's hope it doesn't happen this time.
Oh, it will. It has already.
First Atlantic Bank to be transformed into a global bank out of Ghana. We are looking forward for this because especially when a lot of our local banks have been closed down and all of that, is always inspiring to hear that something good is coming out of a local bank. There's also 10 million for Zongo businesses operating in northern Ghana, which is also very good to hear, especially coming from that side of the world. And we're hoping that government links this to ensuring that women are not lynched as witches, so that people will stop it, knowing that there's money coming along with it. No longer queues at Ghana card mop-up registration centers, which can be found on page 13 of the Finder. Also, a foundry and 2 centers key to industrialization drive by Nana Addo on page 8 of the Finder. I also have the daily guide, which has on the front page, NPP chases NDC over Manifesto. We know that the NPP has already launched its manifesto, and NDC is yet to do theirs. They postponed their initial launch, which we wondering why. We hope that it's launched soon so that we can know the issues and vote on issues and interrogate those issues before we vote. There's also massive disinfection for airport reopening. We saw the president going to visit the airport not long ago, and the story can be found on page 6 of the daily guide. And then a Japa deal has come to stay. This has been an interesting discussion ongoing, especially among the space of the minerals and people who are interested there. We heard the NGOs who are against this deal and all of that is going on. We hope that we get the best out of this discussion and ensure that this issue does not get out of hand, and we gain as Ghanaians out of the mineral resources that we have. I think those are the papers. I think I have also the Daily Statesman. Mahama is confused. That can be found on the first page. NPP urges Ghanaians to vote for Akufo-Addo. And don't ignore COVID-19 safety protocols, President urges on page 2 of the Daily Statesman. And we hope that we don't lose hope, because a lot of people are not using their face masks if you walk in town and various places. I think even certain institutions have relaxed their protocols. People can enter restaurants and other places without face masks or even washing their hands. And I hope that as the president has admonished us to do that, people will pay attention and do so. I also have Jordan Ayew response to transfer advice from Diseli and Boateng. I am not a very good person at sports, so I don't have any comment on these areas.
The way you pronounce the Marseille Diseli, I knew that. Don't like sports. But don't worry, you are forgiven.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
But that's okay. Are you done?
Yes, I think I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done for now.
So let me do the dispatch, and then Mamavi will do the last paper, one of the main dailies we have in Ghana, Ghanaian Times. So the dispatch has on the front page, will 2020 voter turnout be higher than 2016? Big question, but we have more people on the roll now, so my supposition is that why not? How NPP and NDC can get 100,000 votes more in weaker areas. Afenyo Makin also wins defamation case against NDC candidate. We do have reopening of KIA. Government disinfector, Paul, we brought that to you as well. Ghana responds to Nigeria's allegations, and we do know what the issues are with enforcing the GIPC local retail laws. It's actually almost like a initial nonchalance or non-enforcement of those, and now all of a sudden we've woken up into our senses to think we can just right our wrongs in just a matter of weeks. Well, Mamavi, you have the Ghanaian Times.
I do. Front page of the Ghanaian Times. President lays foundation stone for construction of Foundry Machine Tooling Center. Rally behind a Japa deal as CVM urges Ghanaians. Government fails to allocate funds to GIIF for second year running, according to PIAC. Full story is on page 11 in the paper, the Ghanaian Times newspaper of today. Just trying to see if I can share just some little details on that. It's for the second consecutive year, the government has not made any allocation from the annual budget funding amount to the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, despite the fund raking in $5.5 million returns on its investment in the $30 million KIA Terminal 3 project in 3 years. The rest of it, you can catch up. And then Kotoka Airport undergoes disinfection in readiness for reopening today. Reopening of airport amid COVID-19. Ghana tightens measures. 80 PCR test kits deployed at Kotoka to test 1,200 new arrivals every day for COVID-19. We're yet to see how busy our airports would be following the reopening today. On the back page, stop selling water, according to the Ghana Water Company. Also, Bongo DCE appeals for land for government projects. Pretty much the headlines, front and back. There are some crime stories, if you like. Kofi Ampon, a 60-year-old farmer, has been stabbed to death at Jinejine in the Brekum West district of the Bono region. The deceased, according to the police, went to the farm last Friday morning but did not return, prompting family members to follow up to the farm only to find his body. Rest of the sad story is in the pages, well, page 3 exactly. And then an unidentified man believed to be a robber was killed and tied to a wooden electric pole at Nankabamu within the Breman UGC area of the Swami municipality of Ashanti. The victim was stripped, had injuries on the body, and was tied with rope from the neck to the feet to an electric pole. Some residents who spoke to the Ghanaian Times said they heard someone wailing for help around 4 a.m. on Sunday, but they were afraid to go out of their rooms to rescue him, suspecting he was a robber. And then this story that I was hoping that Robert will help us with, especially because of where he's coming from. The Savannah Region Police have arrested 5 persons, including the chief of Simpuni and his linguist, for allegedly brutalizing 60-year-old woman, Merit Ibrahim, who they suspected of being a witch. The 5 currently in police custody were suspected to have participated in beating the woman accused of being a witch. This is the same region that's not too long ago. We had another woman, a 90-year-old, who was sadly lynched. And same region, similar incident coming out. Only difference is that this time around, she was rescued early enough and she survived the attacks. But we were wondering, Robert, yesterday we started this conversation. When the incident broke with Madame Ikea Dente, we talked about it, but apparently not enough education was done on this.
Yes, and for some of us, we were concerned, especially about the manner in which Ikea Dente's case was handled. And that is clearly and the outcome of how the case was handled. If we saw the urgency that the government handled the situation, that would have given people some sort of warning or fear to do it again. But because of the way it was handled as if it is one of the cases. The president announced we are forming a foundation and he's contributing to that foundation. It didn't send a signal of seriousness to people. It didn't send a signal of something that the president sees as an urgent thing that he's handling, or even any of the bodies that are responsible, like the Ministry of Gender or Ministry of Interior, to make statements and to take actions that will send a clear signal to people that we do not tolerate this. If you do this, you'll be punished. And interestingly, we had a meeting with the Minister of Gender yesterday to see the way forward and what they are doing. And it came out clear that in these instances, when people are arrested, some of the things that happen is that the community leaders, which is the chiefs and other people, go to plead with the chief, the police, that please leave our people and we'll settle this at home. And then they call the MPs and the other politicians who also get involved. And they take the people out of the police. So there's no seriousness attached to the case, because I know if I do it, my uncle is the linguist. He will speak to someone and they'll release me. So there's no seriousness attached to this case, and that is why we are seeing this repeated again. And finally, the idea that more women are suffering, and we've identified that at least 2 people are being lynched every day. Because if you listen to Apia Dante's case, it's about 16 women who were abused and tortured, but only because Apia Dante died. That is why we heard it. And somebody recorded it. This incident, if the medical officer did not record it, we wouldn't have seen it. And it would have gone under the carpet and nobody would have heard about it. So it's a very serious case where elderly women are really suffering in that part of the country.
I'm just tempted to ask, how do we stop this? Because we certainly don't want this.
That is what I mentioned, that the people in authority who have the power to make powerful statements and send strong signals haven't done that. And unless they do that, we will still have these incidents happening. Because most of the incidents are done, or the things are perpetrated by young people. Apia Dante's case, they said it was the youth of the community who believe that a witch has stunted their progress. And so they need to find someone to be responsible. In the same case of Auntie Mary, which we are talking about now, who was butchered, she also had young people who said their parents have sent them to do that, or some people have gathered them to do that. So it's clear that unless we have a strong statement from the people, and like I mentioned, this 10 million that we say is going to the north, why don't we tie it like how World Bank ties conditionalities to our funding that they are giving us? All these things are measures that can be taken to ensure that these people listen and they change their mind. And because it's cultural, it is very difficult. It will take a long time to change minds, even if we start education today. But in the process of changing minds, we realize that people will still suffer. Some women will be brutalized. How do we ensure that within the period where we are transforming culture and changing minds, no woman gets brutalized because somebody dreamt and saw them in their dream, and so they call them a witch and butchered them or killed them?
Absolutely. Roland, what's your pick?
My pick is on the companies that are in liquidation, also being investigated by the Security and Exchange Commission. And we know that customers of Blackwell, who that used to be called GoCo Securities, currently have concerns about Black Shield, that they hadn't been consulted in the processes and the announcement that had been made by the Security Exchange Commission. Now, based on the act for which the Securities and Exchange Commission is acting, upon which it is taking its own decisions because they have appointed an entity or someone to take up that responsibility. They are not supposed to consult them. They are rather supposed to confer with the management or the defunct management of the various entities. And that, I think, needs to be communicated not only by the Securities and Exchange Commission, but also the media when we're covering the stories. Because then we create the impression that some wrong has been done to the customers of these institutions. Indeed, according to the investigations that have been undertaken by the Security and Exchange Commission, the wrong rather has been done to the customers by the management and shareholders of these institutions. And that has to be laid bare so that we know that the actions have been taken. There is the effort and the processes to ensure that they recover their deposits to them, but they have to take their time and make sure that they follow due process, and that will be given to them at the end of the day or ultimately. Okay,
so just some of the things that the customers have also been saying, apart from what you've just said, and I'm reading from page 13 in the Daily Graphic, because there was a meeting yesterday. They call themselves the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of the Collapsed 50 Fund Management Companies. And they have, for instance, they insisted that contrary to claims by SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the latter had full access to the information needed on the defunct company to include its customers in the bailout package. We consider the reason cited by SEC to exclude some of the customers from the payment package as a deliberate ploy by the government to divert the attention of the unsuspecting public for neglecting its responsibility to innocent Ghanaian customers who have fallen victim to the government's poor handling of the financial sector cleanup exercise. So I guess bottom line is these are customers who've had their funds locked up and they need it and they want to be included in the bailouts. That's where it comes to. But I guess I get the understanding. Let's spell out the processes to them so they can understand. But if you have your money locked up, Roland Walker, I mean, you really don't care about processes. Once you hear there is a certain package, you want to be part of it. Robert, is there a pick from you?
Yes, I just wanted to go back to Daily Guide. On the front page, you see Mahama goes dirty on Nana and Baumia. As we're going towards the elections, I think it's important that we make it clear that we as citizens are not going to give way for any sort of politics of insults or any issue that will allow certain people to start bringing sort of violence during elections. I think we have to admonish our politicians to play it fair, give us the issues and let us listen and decide, rather than calling names and making it look dirty. Look, we are educating young people to get involved in politics. And it's important that we ensure that we do things that will look good and will make politics look attractive, and also not make it look as if it's a place where you jab at people and you insult people. I think it's important that our key politicians who are going for these elections make this election fair, clean, bring out your issues, and let's all listen and vote on issues. I think that's one thing. And then also the kidnapper on the same Daily Guide, kidnapper demanded 5,000 Ghana cedis as ransom. It's interesting that we are still having these issues coming up. We were hoping that our police would take these issues seriously when it happened before. So if this is still going on, we are calling on the IGP that we don't want these things to happen, especially during election period. In certain countries like Nigeria and Mexico, these things happen during election period and things to threaten politicians and all the others. So we hope that this thing will be nipped in the bud so that we don't hear security issues that make us feel unsafe.
That'll be it for now. We have to break for sports. Today's your birthday, Jonathan Asante Ochre. You are a senior lecturer, the Department of Classics and Philosophy, the University of Cape Coast. I hope that you're going to enjoy your time. You're in Cape Coast, the Central Regional Capital. It's where the new airport will be built. So, Charlie, very soon we'll flying to Accra, rough. Joe Asante Ochre, enjoy your time.
Okay, listen, Robert, we thank you for joining us on the review this morning. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us as well. Apologies for waking you up rather very early. So you can go back, you can catch some 30-minute sleep.
Later or after.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. Roland.
Yeah, bro.
Okay,
enjoy your day.
We've got plenty of headlines though on myjoyonline.com. Just visit our page. Coming up next is sports. First round of the US Open. All the action right here on Joy News, plus some other stories.